Hello and welcome to the Legendary Ladies podcast, where this week we've got Amy back. First of all, this is exciting. She missed our Top Chef talk. We were kind of sad we
I'm
didn't get her
sad.
take on Top Chef, but she is back to weigh in on Beyonce's new album. So we wanted to talk about her new album that she just released. It's called Cowboy Carter. I think it's technically the title is like Act Two, Cowboy Carter,
Yeah.
because it comes after
It,
Act One, which was Renaissance, the album
mhm.
she released in, I think, I want to say 2022.
It
Oh.
wasn't that long ago. I
It
think it was
wasn't
the
that long
same. It
ago.
was the same year as. It was the same month as Midnight's. I want to say with Taylor
I feel like
Swift.
I feel like they're always in simpatico where
Yeah.
like one of them releases an album and then like a month later somebody else releases an album, and I have to say for me as a fan of both, it's the best of times and it's the best of times.
For sure.
I'm like
So
this is all happening for me.
We're getting more Taylor very soon,
In
which
like
we'll
2
be
weeks.
covering
very soon.
on the show.
Yeah.
Why is it Cowboy Carter? Why is that the title?
Because her last name is Beyonce Carter because of Jay-Z.
Okay, that's what I thought, but then
Yeah.
I was just triple checking with the Google, and the Google was confused. And I it might have been because I asked my Alexa, and she did not help.
He's like, Beyonce Knowles. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
That's
it's like,
exactly
that's
what
not
happened.
her
And I was
last
like, I'm still
name.
confused. I'm like, I don't know if that's right. So that shows you my level of familiarity with this general, like, you guys who've been listening to the podcast for a long time know that I'm the kind of person, I really tend to gravitate towards music that is orchestral based or doesn't have lyrics, just because that's the way that my brain works. That's the way that I enjoy digesting my music more, is symphonic soundtrack scores, or like just real chill, mellow kind of acoustic vibes. Not to say that, like, look, everybody loves Beyonce, but like, if you're
There's
like,
a
do you
reason.
want to go listen to Beyonce or do you want to go listen to Bailey? Like, Sibelius, and these two have no idea who Sibelius is.
No, I
I
thought you
totally
said Bailey
don't.
at first. I'm
And that's
like,
okay.
who's that?
No. Sibelius is a composer. Like,
Sure.
it's okay. But like, that's
I feel like
my
it's funny
my
that like
general
we feel
area.
like the things that you are like, oh my god, everyone knows this. We're like, what? And then like the ones that sometimes we'll just name an artist, and Amy will just like her face will just get blank, and I'll be like,
Like,
oh,
what?
she doesn't know. She doesn't know what we're talking about.
I'll just
She
go
doesn't
with
know
it.
who Jay-Z is.
Well, that's funny. So
I do know who Jay-Z is, but I would not be able to name a song by Jay-Z right now.
I feel like I
Could
can
not.
name more. Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't
mean,
really
he's
sing
that
anymore.
that
Yeah.
New York, the concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
I was gonna say it's more. I know more of him for his features, like the Justin Timberlake song, or like
That's true, actually.
Alicia
Yeah, he does
Keys.
feature
So
a lot.
yeah,
So we are gonna go through our top 5 songs from the album,
we'll do
which is
5-1.
very, very hard. First of all, because there are 27 songs on this album, and they're all really good. So like, how do you pick just 5? But I figured before we start, I wanted to go around and see like what is everybody's relationship with Beyonce? Like how
Beyonce.
like are you a fan? How long have you been listening? Like kind of you and Bay, like what's the deal? So I'm gonna start with Amy because I think I kind of know your answer.
It's probably short.
It is short. I will listen to a song of hers on the radio. I'll bop to it. I'll listen to a song comes up in a movie or TV show. I'll enjoy it. But I don't.
She's been
actively
in
seek
movies
out her
and TV
music.
shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not. Again, I always enjoy when I listen to it. It's just not the type of stuff that I generally gravitate to whenever I'm looking to listen to something. And that's just my personal preference. So I'd be really curious when we do our top 5. I'm really curious to see how my top 5 rank with your guys' top 5s.
I am
That's why
too.
I'm really excited to do this, especially with an album like this
Yeah.
that has such a long track list. Is I feel like there is a possibility that our top 5s will be like wildly different. I'm excited about that.
And the
different.
genres are really different too. I think that's something that I
Yeah.
really struggled with, is that I picked my top 5 of things I thought I would listen to for a long time. But they're like my 6 through, let's say 8, were songs that I actually thought were better songs. Like if I had to review it outside of myself, I'd be like, wow,
Yeah.
these are like more unique songs, right? These are like, this is a more interesting song. I was like, no, I'm going to make my top 5 very personal and very like, no, I think I'll listen to this like 2 years later.
That makes sense.
No.
All right, Kat, how about you?
Beyonce.
You and Beyonce.
I feel like you can't escape Beyonce. Like, I don't remember a time where she wasn't part of my life, right? Like, you're watching the
That is
Proud
actually
Family.
very true.
Yeah, like I'm watching the Proud Family, and who's that? It's Beyonce. She's singing the theme song. Obviously I like Destiny's Child a lot when I was younger, so I enjoyed all that music. And then was I ever a Beyonce, a beehive? I don't know if I ever got that far. Like even Renaissance, like I listened to songs, but I didn't listen to the whole album. This one I want to listen to the whole album because I'm like, country, that's so different and unique. And I was like, oh, Post Malone's on it. All right, cool. And I was like, oh, Miley's on it. That's cool. So I was like, all right, there's a lot of people I want to see. And also, obviously, we're doing the show, but I like Beyonce a lot, but I think I'm on the outskirts of the beehive. So that's where I feel like I'm at. But I like her.
That's really fair. Obviously, I'm a big Beyonce fan. I loved Destiny's Child when I was younger, and then all of her stuff that she released after that. And then starting with that like the surprise album that she dropped out of nowhere,
Lemonade,
that
right?
I think that was Beyonce. I think that was just the album was just called Beyonce.
Okay.
But starting with that, where her stuff started to get more experimental, like I was like, okay, I loved her before. I thought she was perfect. But now I like her even more because her music is getting so cool and like layered and funky. And like Lemonade with the visual album that she kind of pioneered that format. Like I feel like Beyonce is like just so ahead of the culture all the time. She's just
but
doing
also
her own
not.
thing.
Yeah, like, I'm the only one.
Yeah.
I'm the only one on Tidal, and the only reason you'll listen to listen to titles because of me, and then no one else will be.
And I'm Beyonce. Yeah, when this was announced that this album was coming out, I ended up that like the Thursday night after we recorded the Top Chef, I was like, no sane person should listen to a 27 track album like at midnight when it comes out. And so I did. It was like 1:30 in the morning. I was like, I'm so tired, but I got through it all, and then I went to bed. I think I listened to it like 3 times before the end of Friday night, and I was like, this album's so good. It's just like crying.
I listened to one song and then I went to bed. I listened to the Miley songs. We were talking before the show started.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I heard Miley wasn't actually going to be on it. So I was like, oh, let's see. And then Miley was on it. And I was like, oh, Marianne, you were wrong. So I listened to it and I texted her. I was like, oh, I really like it. It was a good song. You should listen. And then I went to bed and I was like, I'll listen to the rest of the album tomorrow.
Yeah, I was like, I'm doing something so unwell right now. I'm gonna be so busted tomorrow, but it will be worth it, and it was. So big Beyonce fan here. Really excited about this album. I was really excited about this album when it was announced because on Lemonade she had a song called "Daddy Lesson," which is a country song. Like the Lemonade album isn't necessarily country, but that song was very country, and I really liked that song on the album. And so when it was announced she was doing a country album, I was like, yes, now this is it.
Y'all
like
gung
it's
ho for that.
happening. Yeah, I was like, pew pew. I put on my
she's
little
also from the
hat.
South, which I don't think about very often. She's from Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely was like, oh yeah, like I guess she has, and I think she has like Cajun roots. Like I think she even talks about it on the album. Like her grandparents are like from Louisiana. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like I don't think about that when I think about Beyonce.
Yeah, because obviously there's been like a lot, not a lot, but there has been like a little bit of backlash from like country fans being like, oh, Beyonce's not country. And it's like crazy. Like she was literally, is from the South. Like I don't know how much more country you need to be. So I think that's it. When it was announced she was doing a country album, I was really excited because I knew it was going to be cool. But as she has said multiple times, it's not necessarily a country album. It's like still a Beyonce album, which you can really feel on the album. Like it's very heavy in the country influences that she's brought in, but there are some songs that just sound like, straight up like Beyonce songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of those songs that you can tell she's kind of tapping into country roots, or she's tapping into country vibes or subject matter, but are not necessarily a country song. And part of me wishes that it had been less billed as a country album so that we were not prepped to hear, like I was kind of prepped to expect like country for every single song. And so it took me a hot second to be like, okay, there's some covers in here and there's some very clearly not country things in there. So it took me a while to kind of figure out like, okay, what is the vibes of the album?
But it's clearly not, but clearly is. And I think that's what I love about the album is that there's literally like a track that explains this, where it's like genre, you could expect something from a genre, but you can like twist it around. Because if you listen to Yaya, which we'll talk about later, like that's influenced by the Beach Boys, which is kind of influenced by this kind of weird side of country. And then you have like Blackbird, which is obviously a Beatles song, but the Beatles was influenced by the blues, and guess what? The blues is country. So I think it shows like this is where country came from, and sure, it went different places, but I'm taking the root of country and just showing you all the different elements of what country is. You think this is country, but actually it's all this other stuff too. Because honestly, I do think it's a fully country album. I think even if you listen to Spaghetti, which is, I don't know if you guys know what spaghetti westerns are, but it's a spaghetti western, which spaghetti westerns are a western you would expect in Italy. So it's just like here's a western, American western that's in a weird place.
That's true, yeah. And she said in her, like, she released a press release about the album, where she said that she was inspired by some of these old like Western movies, including spaghetti westerns, and that while they were writing and creating, they often had movies in the background, like old Western movies and even more current movies like Killers of the Flower Moon. So things that happened in sort of the West and the South. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, because I honestly would actually say it's a fully country album. I don't think there's anything here that sounds like Renaissance, which is a fully, and granted, I have not listened to Renaissance like I did Cowboy Carter. Like I said, that was more, I listened to pieces, but that was a house music album. That was the point of that album. And all of it was house music, but it was different types of house music. So, and I think that's something that's brilliant about this album and all her albums.
Yeah, and I think just the way that she is bringing country, the idea that country is, a genre that has a lot of really pioneering Black artists, and they've for the large part been overlooked throughout the genre, like bringing Linda Martell onto a couple of songs. In fact, the sort of interstitial where she talks about the concept of genres, which I would say outside of the idea of country, I think the whole album is really about like, why should Beyonce have to pick a genre and just stay in it? If she wants to do a different genre, why can't she do that? Like, she kind of talks about how limiting genres can be, and how people expect you to stay in your lane, and how she's Beyonce, so she doesn't have to. She'll do what she wants.
That's not fun. And I think the people she picked here, which we'll talk about the covers and we'll talk about some of the features, but I'm a big Post Malone fan. We were talking about it. Love Posty. I'm a really big fan of his. And I think something I very much enjoy is you look at him and you're like, oh, he's a rapper. And then you listen to him, it's like, wait, maybe he's not a rapper. And then you see him do a cover of Elvis and you're like, wait, he's got that going on too.
Yeah.
And he has such a layered artist. So you pick someone like Posty, who's just like, rapper, whatever. Miley, another great example of a person who just knows how to do plenty of different genres. And, we've seen that with a lot of her previous albums where I think 2 albums. Oh, we dropped Amy. But 2 albums ago, we got to see that rock album she did, and then she did like a more country album. So yeah, I think the features are really interesting people. And then there's another person who's like this pure country guy that she picked that was an up and coming. And then obviously you got Dolly and people like that, which is also super interesting. So I think the people she even featured was interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like the different people on the tracks, and especially I really liked the idea that on, I think it was on Blackbird, she has like 3 Black women country stars who are kind of up and coming, doing like background vocals and also taking lyrics and choruses and stuff, which I thought was really neat. Like, one of the things I do like about Beyonce is that like she will kind of give her platform. Like all of their albums are now, shooting up on Spotify, shooting up on the tracks. The Beyonce effect.
The Beyonce effect. I love that. Was it Blackbird or was it Yaya that had
It might be both. I know
it could
Blackbird
yeah.
had I know Blackbird, if you look at the, like, the credits, it has, like, 4 different names. So that's
Okay.
the one that she definitely
I'll have to go
had
back
all
and
4 on, but I think she had a couple
Yaya
of
had
them
a
on.
feature too, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think
Yeah.
who
she
it
had a
was.
couple of them on some of the other songs too, which is, I mean, awesome for their career. If you're on a Beyonce album, that's pretty great.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool that she ended up doing that. And going back to Blackbird, that's an interesting song all on its own because it was written about, it was written by these white guys, but it was written about like the Black experience. And Paul McCartney has been saying that for decades. Like, I wrote this to talk about like what's going on with civil rights and stuff.
Yeah, the
And then
civil
he even
rights
said
movement.
later on, he was like, "Oh, I always pictured like a Black woman singing it." So I thought it was like, "Oh, that's really
Mhm.
cool." We'll talk about Jolene because I have so much to say about Jolene, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really cool that she's kind of like putting everything on its head. I do think we should definitely dive into our top 5.
Yeah,
I think
let's
we'll probably
yeah.
be some
yeah,
songs to talk about.
let's dive into our top 5. So I guess I didn't order mine very well, so I'm just gonna
Ooh,
like
okay.
look at my chart and like make a
Mhm.
game day decision.
Okay.
So let's start at our 5 and let's start with Kat because I feel like she
Okay.
was more systematic about
I
it.
was. I actually really, really, really tried very hard because again, my like up to 9, I was really debating on what I should do, but I actually picked one that I don't think most people would pick. Two
Mhm.
Hands to Heaven.
That one's so
I
good. That
yeah,
one's so good.
it kind of snuck up on me because the first listen I kind of ignored it. It was like towards the later end of the
Yeah.
album, and then I was like, whatever. And it's a longer song; it's about 5 minutes long. And then I listened to it as I was re-listening to the album for this, and I was like, wait, this kind of is like catchy. And then I kind of liked how bluesy it was. I like a good
Yeah.
like anyone who knows me, I love a good sad girl song. So I was like, oh, she's a little sad in here too. So I liked it, and I felt like obviously there's this like kind of religious background, which a lot of country music has, and that's something that's
Yeah.
really interesting about
And
this
a lot
album
of her
too.
songs had.
Yeah, a
I mean,
lot
she's
of
got
them
a
did.
song that's just Amen at the end of the album too.
I think her father was a pastor, if I remember
That
correctly.
feels possible, although I don't know.
I don't know either.
Another
Correct me if I'm wrong.
history.com, according to
History.com
Kat.
for Beyonce, according to me. But yeah, no, I like that. And that's something about country music. It's like you're going to get some religious stuff. You're going to get, we'll talk about Post Malone's song, I'm sure, at some point. There's just, that song is so interesting. And I don't even know in a good way, where it's just about them talking about jeans. And I'm like, yep, that's a very country song where people are just talking about jeans and talking about jeans being ripped. So yeah, there's all different layers, but I like a good, like, let's get into someone's soul.
I can't wait till we get to my list.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
It's like it was the Jean one. That's number 1.
Number 1, jeans.
But yeah, that's my number 5. I liked it a lot.
All right, Amy, I want to know your number 5.
My number 5. So bear in mind, I if I can, I love to listen to albums more than once before I do anything like this. I have almost always found that, with the exception of things like soundtracks, where I know the movie and then you're listening to the soundtrack, so you already have a frame of reference. For me personally, I need to listen to an album 2 or 3 times before I'm able to be like yes or no. And I have definitely listened to albums before on every genre and been like, was not a fan, listened to it again and was like, what was I missing the first time? Like, why didn't I like that the first time? Like, what, was I crazy? So as much as I would love to say that I have a whole lot to say about each one of my choices, a lot of this was just gut reaction. Loved that.
Which is good
didn't
too.
like that.
Yeah.
Which is this. So gut reaction, on my list, number 5 was the Miley Cyrus crossover, Most Wanted.
Okay. I have a lot to say about that one.
You have a lot more to say about it than I do. I listened to this literally, I finished the album like 2 hours ago. I really wish I could, and actually part of me based my list on which ones I chose to re-listen to, which ones I chose
that
to
makes
go
sense.
back and listen to again. And some of that is because it's good, and some of that is because I'm just hella curious. I was like, what did I just listen to? Or, ooh, that was the vibe that I was in right now. So you're gonna find vibes only in my list. But
all vibes only, for sure.
I remember listening to Most Wanted and feeling the
To
story,
Most Wanted.
feeling delirious. Yes, thank you. I was listening to it in my car while driving home from the laundromat, And so on my little dashboard thingy, it didn't necessarily make it easy to be like, okay, so 2 most wanted. That's right, because there was the Roman numeral. I just enjoyed hearing the two of them work together because Beyonce's strength for me is in her harmony. Her ability to harmonize perfectly whenever she is, whether it's with herself or another person, her strength for me is in harmony. And I really loved hearing how often the two of them were in unison. There was more than one moment in this song where they were in unison singing the same pitch at the same time. And that in and of itself tells a story, especially with Miley Cyrus. So I
Are you a
really
Miley
enjoyed that
fan?
song.
Are you a Miley fan?
I'm enough of a Miley fan that I really respected their collaboration in this. I don't think I listen to Miley stuff if it comes up. If you say, hey, go listen to this Miley song, I will almost always be like, that was a decent song. I think that Miley puts a lot of thought behind her songs, and I'm a big person where I want I like the story behind the song. I like the anatomy of the song making. Like, how did that happen? How did this come to be? And there's something about the way that you can tell that this story was put together that I was really drawn to and that I was really attracted to. And I like the choices that they made where they go and they diverge and they harmonize a couple times in the song. But there's a huge section in the middle where they're just in unison the whole time. And I love that, especially based on the subject matter of that song, that is what they're choosing to do lyrically and musically. And I really enjoyed that. So that was something that just stuck out to me. And I was like, that's going to make my list for that reason.
I really like this song. This was the first one I listened to, and I was like, whoa, this is what the album's going to be. I'm going to have a fun time when I listen to it tomorrow. And because again, I didn't expect Miley to be even on it. So I clicked the song and I'm like, whoa, Miley's opening the song? Wait, Miley's like in this song for this long?
Yeah.
And then like you said, I was listening to it, I was like, whoa, their voices like really work together. And the more you listen to it, it's like, yeah, there's a story. There's that like Thelma and Louise kind of vibe to it. But I just thought I wouldn't have imagined Miley and Beyonce's voices being so compatible. And then you listen to it, I'm like, oh, that's such a no-brainer. I really, really liked it and was surprised by it for sure.
I really liked it so much that it's also my number 5, which is so funny. When I was putting together this list, I was driving around listening to my Beyonce, doing chores, listening to my Beyonce, going, this is an impossible task. I can't do this. I can't pick 5. But I really wanted to do one of her collabs as one of my top 5. And it was really, I was going back and forth because I do think that the Post Malone one is really good as well. The Levi's jeans. But Miley just edged it out because I do love the harmonizing and her voice is so strong. And she does have that country background, right? So like she has such a great country voice. Like the way that she and Beyonce harmonized together is so good. And I also like the cowboy outlaw aspect of it, which you see in a lot of songs on the album. This idea of like, outlaw, it's a very country kind of song sort of thing. And
she
to have
also
two strong women doing that is awesome.
She also puts herself, and she does this in a lot of her songs. She always like calls herself the man. Like every song, because obviously she has that song, If I Were a Boy, but she does that a lot here too, where she's like, I know I'm taking the manly role. I know I'm doing this. I mean, Jolene, she kind of does it too, where he's like, you think you want my man? I made my man. Like, he can't live without me.
I suspect that we'll talk about Jolene at some point in this list, but sure. I have to say, there's maybe not a colder lyric that I've ever heard than like, I raised that kid. I raised my man and I raised my kids for like 20 years. I was like, wait, you raised this man? No. He should be an adult. Beyonce.
He should be. But we all know Beyonce raised Jay-Z.
We all know. She did. No, she raised that man.
She really did. I don't think it was a lie. But no, I'm very excited to hear about Levi jeans because I think Amy has a secret she's been holding about that song. She has so many thoughts about it.
There's no secret about it.
There's a secret about this song that is just like either it's like the worst or best song because her reactions to Levi jeans each and every time. She's like, I can't wait to tell you.
Amazing.
We're going to keep it a secret until someone talks about it.
I know. I'm ready. All right. So that was my me and Amy have same number 5.
Yeah.
So Kat,
I'm busy
what was your
reordering my lists right now.
I am questioning everything about my list as
I
well.
know.
I'm just gonna
Like,
regret. I feel like I'm gonna regret everything about my list, but
I'm
it's
not
fine.
regretting anything.
Yeah.
I don't
Kat
regret it.
is
that's because you
strong
put a
and
lot of work in your
confident.
homework, Kat.
I did. I always do.
I didn't put work in my homework. Like, that's not true. I put work in it, but I put the minimal amount of work required based on my time period in which I had. So, fun fact, I got the assignment wrong.
Misunderstood. Yeah.
I misunderstood the assignment when these two told me to pick the top 5 Beyonce songs. I picked the top 5 Beyonce songs. I did not pick the top of all her songs. I was like, I thought we were going to talk about the album, but maybe we're going to do it over like 2 weeks. I wasn't there for the planning. I'll go with it, whatever. So it wasn't until
Should have been clearer.
like maybe 7 hours ago, when I'm on my way to like do my laundry and stuff, that she posted a Patreon link, and I was like, oh no. And then Kat's like, it's fine. There's only 25 songs. And I was like,
There's how many?
At least, like, luckily, most of them are 30 seconds.
A lot of them are short, which helps.
It did help, but I think I should get an award for just even doing the assignment.
Too. No, I agree. I didn't know how you were going to do it.
Amy.
No, I did. I was very proud of myself. Thank goodness that I had to keep sticking my duvet back in the dryer to get it to dry longer. And I was like, really, that's another 2 songs.
Well, I can't wait to see where Levi Jeans ends up.
I'm excited too. All right, Kat, you're number 4.
Mine is Jolene. So we were talking about it.
Nice.
All right, I will say this because I'll spoil it. Blackbird's not on my list.
Me neither.
I was positive it was going to be on your list, Kat. I was positive.
Because I had a feeling it wasn't gonna be.
No. Because she didn't really change it that much, right? It's pretty similar to what it was. So it's just, and I love Blackbird, but I've heard that song many times. So I'm just like, I get it. I've heard many other people sing this song.
That's a lot of covers of that song.
Very covered
really
song,
good covers of the song.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, you didn't really, I mean, it's cool. The context is very cool because again, Black women singing and these other Black artists are singing, and I love that. But Jolene did something different. Like, first of all, you have a lot of artists. You have Dolly, Dolly is the heart of America. We love Dolly.
Everyone loves Dolly.
We all love Dolly. And, Jolene's a really, really solid song. Is it as good as 3 Doors Down? I don't know. Or Two Doors Down. That is a great song. If you haven't heard
I was like, the band? I think it's better.
I heard Tig Notaro.
Even I understood that reference.
Yeah, 2 Doors Down, which is a different reference. Very good song, very upbeat. I love it. But Jolene, obviously it's just such an iconic song. But then Miley kind of turned it around and she sang her own version of Jolene, which was really different.
Of Jolene is incredible, by the way.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard it, Amy, go listen to Miley's Jolene, because it's just like, whoa, you can make this really, really like rusty and like really like you could feel the pain. Dolly's like, oh, I guess, Jolene's just gonna steal my man. I'm okay with that. And Miley's like, no, I'm kind of upset about her stealing my man or stealing my person. And then Beyonce's like, hold the phone. First of all, Jolene,
like, I will shoot you.
I'll shoot you. You better not be in my life. Fuck you. I'm out for revenge. And I'm like, whoa, that's such a cool, different take. And it's cool to see the how that song has grown. Like, again, Dolly started somewhere, Miley 10 years gone a different place, and then Beyonce put it on its head, and that's why I had to add it. A, also it's a fun song, but B, it's just like, oh, you did something really different with this cover. And then Dolly's introing you. Dolly's also on this album, which we'll talk about. We didn't even talk about, but she does a feature, which I don't know if we'll talk about later, but we'll see. If it doesn't end up on anyone's list, we'll talk about it separately. But I don't know. It's a good song.
It is a really good song, and I like that she did something different with it, where I thought it was going to be a straight cover, and as I started listening to it, I was like, oh, the lyrics are different. Like, she's telling Jolene, watch out or I will shoot you. Like, I will shoot you in the face. And then they have like that chorus of like the sort of the male chorus at the end that's like, yeah, I'm not interested, Jolene.
Right.
Which I think is a really different way of approaching the song. And I do like it when people do covers, but they tweak it so that it's like not exactly the same.
That or make it sound really different. Like a good example is Seasons of the Stick Season. It's called.
Oh, the Olivia Rodrigo cover is so good.
That's where
So
I was
good.
going at. So you listen to Noah Kahan's version, it's like, oh yeah, it's fun. It's like, your stereotypical guy singing about this. And then you listen to Olivia and you're like, oh, she's really good folk singer, isn't she?
So good, yeah.
Like,
Her
why is she
cover
not
is
doing
great.
more folk? Yeah, and she's
She
just so
really
good.
should
Yeah.
be. Like,
I want her to do a folk album so
my
bad.
my husband Mike actually introduced me to the Olivia Rodrigo like cover of that song, and he was like, I like this better than the original." I was like, "I
Yeah.
agree, it's really good."
Wait, which song? I think I missed that.
It's called Seasons of the
Season.
Stick Season.
Yeah, I
Stick
think
Season. And it's Olivia Rodrigo did a cover of it on like BBC and like BBC Radio or something.
Yeah,
and it's a
something
really
random.
popular cover.
So
and
good.
it's please listen, because it's like, if you ever thought Olivia was just the pop teen, or I would say grunge teen, you listen to this and be like, whoa, okay, this is where Olivia could go.
You said Season of the Six?
I think it's
Stick Season.
Yeah,
I'll send you a link.
Yeah, it's the
really
original's by Noel. I think it's Noel Kahan or something.
It's definitely Khan.
Yes, Khan. Okay, Noel Khan. Then I think is the original singer.
It's
I'm actually
8 million views.
I'm actually gonna see him. I think.
Nice.
In September, that we somehow managed through Witchcraft to get tickets to that See Here Now festival in Asbury.
Yes, I know what you're talking
Bruce
about.
Springsteen is also going to be at, which is why it was like
Someone
the Hunger
else is
Games to
there.
get tickets.
What is it called? CU?
I think it's See Here Now or something like that.
I remember there was some
I think it's
really
spelled
interesting people.
SEA. It's spelled, I think, because it's by
Yeah,
the
I
shore.
found it.
Yeah.
They maybe there was another year. I think Carly Rae Jepsen was doing something.
Oh man, I would have killed for Carly.
My
All right.
my tangent brain thought you said 6. And so I immediately thought about 6 the musical.
Yeah.
And I had to share with Morgan that I was at WonderCon this last weekend. There were a bunch of 6 cosplays.
Hell yeah.
Like people dressed as the queens. And they were good.
Well, I've seen. Have you seen Andrea Towers, friend of the pod?
Yeah.
She did an Anne Boleyn cosplay that is so good. It's real from 6. It's really good.
I haven't seen it
on her
either.
Instagram, but yeah,
so
it's
like
so good.
I got to see a bunch of people go by, and I would be like checking something. I'm like, all right, so that'll be 30. Woo! And I'd like go and freak out. I'd be like, I love your stuff. Like, wow,
Catherine
really
Parr,
cool.
I love you.
I'd be like the true queen, and only
so good.
that one person and me would get it. And
That's
I
all
thought
that
of you
matters.
multiple times. I was
Morgan
like,
would get it.
Morgan would appreciate.
I would have
this.
gotten that. I would have gotten that. Did you see a whole group at any point?
I did see a group of 2, and I was right in the middle of something, so I didn't get a chance to stop, and I don't remember who it was, but I did see a group of, I think it was Anne and Parr together. But I definitely, they were really, really good. We got to get a bookish cosplay.
We got to get 4 other people, Amy, and we got to do it.
Let's do it. Let's go.
We can be all 6. That'd be so fun.
Be so good. Okay.
Yeah, Amy, what's your number 4?
So I'm having trouble because my lists keep reordering. And there's things that are crossed out. So you know what? I'm going to tell you my original number 4, and then I'm going to tell you that I kicked it off my list because I had to add another one.
Like cheating. I can't believe Levi Jeans.
It's fine.
Got kicked off.
No, no, it didn't.
Okay, good. We desperately want to talk about it.
My current number 4 is Daughter.
I like that one.
You know what is so funny, Amy? I was like, I'm pretty sure Amy's gonna pick this one. I was like, I thought about putting it on my list, and I was like, you know what? I think Amy's gonna pick it because it's got that opera section in it, which is so cool.
It's funny that kept getting lower and lower on my list for some reason, only because I felt like I kept forgetting how it sounded. Like it almost was forgettable when I was listening to. I don't know if you felt. Well, you only listened to the one time when you were listening to it.
This one was one of the ones I listened to again. And this one actually was higher on my lists, and it got moved down for another one that I put in last minute because it was closer to the end of the album.
Right.
Daughter struck me for more than one way. First, it was the type of country ballad that I like to listen to. So I have I am not by any means or whatever a like diehard country fan. I do not I love listening to country music, and I actually choose country as my background music more often than not while I'm driving or working or something. And part of that was that the best years of my life in college, I lived in the ag dorm. Like everybody listened to country music. And so it's a happy place for me. And Daughter held that sort of lyrical, not bluesy bluegrass, but it held that kind of lyrical country ballad story that I like to hear. It was calming. It was very well structured, even with the operatic part put in the middle as sort of a bridge. Sometimes some of Beyonce's songs can lose the structure for me, and that's something that I grasp and appreciate and I really like and sort of grab onto. So I really appreciated not only that with Daughter and the Italian part in the middle, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I actually really liked the sort of dark, haunting nature and the lyrics of this song.
Yeah.
Put with a generally like there's the guitar and there's the lyricist, and there's almost no other sound in this song. It is a very, very basic song with sort of a hanging tree-esque kind of a theme to it.
Was
And
this
I
the
really like
song where she talked about her relationship with her dad, and she was like, "I am my
Yeah.
basically like
dad's
I am my
daughter."
father's
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
Like I'm not my father's daughter when you all think I am, but the
Yeah.
one time you fuck with me,
That's
I am
that's
as
when.
cold as the Titanic waters, which
That's
is
such a good
freaking great
line
line.
too. It's such a good
Such
line.
a good line.
And
And
it
you
also
know,
harkens back to her song on Lemonade, which is Daddy Lessons, which is her talking about, her dad teaching her if somebody does her wrong, shoot, basically.
yeah.
Don't take shit from people.
And the lyrics of this song are, the more you listen to it, because I actually went back to listen to it again because I was like, hold on, there's more to this story than meets the eye. The more you listen to it, the more brutal it gets. And the kind of the scarier and the darker it gets. And that lyric, the I'm colder than Titanic water, for me fills me with a huge amount of imagery, because imagine that you were in the Titanic and you did get into those water. You are in the ship. The ship is sinking. You finally fall in the water. You know you're going to die, and you have to wait for the water to kill you. Like, think about what it would be like if you knew death was coming. You can't escape it, and you have to sit and literally be consumed and drown in it with the forethought and knowledge that you're not going to survive. And
It's really interesting
maybe a
too.
little bit of hope.
Yeah, it's really interesting too because I went to a Titanic exhibit a couple of years ago, and it was like one of those touring exhibits, and it had like reproductions of like, the grand staircase and all that stuff. It was so cool. But as you went through the exhibit, like it started to get like, like the icebergs coming. And by that time you got like to one of the later rooms, there was a wall with ice on it, and it was like, this is how cold the water was, and you could put your hand on it and feel it. And when you put your hand on it, like nobody could keep their hand on it for more than a couple seconds, because that's how cold it was, that it hurt your hand to keep it on for a couple seconds. I've literally never forgotten that, because I was like, oh yeah, no, you would die so quickly.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
This is the second time someone has mentioned this Titanic exhibit to me in this week.
Really?
Yeah. And they talked about the icicle.
It was really compelling. That is wild.
This exhibit for everybody, I think it was about 5 or 10 years ago, but this is the second time this week I've heard about it.
That's really interesting.
I like that we've all imprinted on the ice wall because it was so like messed up as we were touching it. We're like, oh no.
And the conversation did end with the ice. What do you remember about it? And it was just like the iceberg.
Wall, yeah.
I got touched the iceberg.
Not the actual iceberg, mind you.
No, just the coldness.
But yeah,
of it.
so I liked the imagery of this song. There were a couple lyrics that I wish I could have changed, like my own brain, and that's just things that I would like to adjust. But I really liked the imagery of the lyricism. And again, that for me, when I'm listening to a lyric song like this, that's really important to me. Is what story are we telling through the song? And this story this song told a story on multiple different levels. Now, the Italian is actually from an opera.
Yeah.
And did you guys look
That's
up
cool.
what it
I
is?
I
No.
looked up the I saw like a little thing about what the lyrics that she sang, but I found what I ended up seeing was that apparently it's in kind of a famous songbook that when
Yeah.
people are learning how to do like vocal exercises and like learning how to sing properly, they make them do a lot of these like 24, 25 Italian opera songs, and that's
Mhm.
one of them, which makes sense
Oh.
because I'm sure Beyonce has done, you know,
Every
She is
single one of
vocal
them.
training.
trained.
Yeah, classically
Yeah, so
trained.
she probably trained with this book. So this was probably meant to be a callback, and a lot of people, someone was saying, you probably watched the same video I did, Morgan. Someone was talking about how it's basically like the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star of
Yeah.
Italian arias and opera music, where people who know the song are like, really, you're putting ye basic bitch in the song? But there's something to be said about the imagery of that, where she's talking about how her childhood has influenced who she became, and how part of the song is talking about how ultimately she'll revert back to that nature that she has, that nature that has turned into nurture, and that maybe that's almost like I where, you know, in movies and stuff, you see serial killers whistling like a really simple tune as they're about to kill someone. Like something about that basic level of stepping back into your childhood that almost overwhelms the way that you're thinking about what you're about to do. But the lyrics basically say, or not basically, they say, "My dear beloved, at least believe me, without you, my heart languishes."
This is
And
the
it's
Italian lyrics?
That's the Italian. That's what they stand for. So it's meant to be like, without you, I am nobody. And with the rest of the song, it makes you think, if I cannot have you, no one can. Without you, I am nothing. And if I'm not going to be able to be there for you, if you will not be there for me, then you cannot be there for anyone.
Right.
And I love the story that I love the different ways you can take this song. And that for me is very important. I love being able to tell stories and songs. So
That's
my
cool
daughter
that
is on my
how, yeah, it's cool how, and obviously it's Beyonce, but how thoughtful everything she does and everything she crafts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Morgan, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the first song on the album, American Requiem.
That was
Okay.
close to her being on my list because it
Yeah.
is it's a solid opener.
It's a solid opener. I feel like it's a little bit of a weirder song, but I really like that about it. I feel like as a thesis statement for like what this album is gonna be, it's really excellent. She talks about like, basically you said I was too country, and now you're saying I'm not country enough. She talks about, she has a couple lines in there that kind of talk about not, people not listening to her. It not being like, can you stand me? Like, would you stand with me? Kind of stuff. She goes through her whole like bona fides of like, this is how country I am. This is like where my grandparents are from. This is where like my parents are from. Like, we're out of Galveston, Texas. We're out of Louisiana. Like, what are you doing trying to tell me that I'm not country? And I also really like, the kind of layer that you can read in about like a critique of America in some ways, where she's talking about, these like ideals that were like buried here, and like, have we lived up to them? And I think that that is really powerful, especially when you like layer in the fact that like, in some ways I would say maybe this is a little bit of a revenge album, because she went and she performed in I think 2016, 2017 at the Country Music Awards, and she did her song Daddy Lessons with the Chicks. and the audience did not seem happy about it at all. People
That's
apparently, like,
so strange.
some people people were whispering, people were like getting up, and I think somebody got up and walked out or
Who
something. And
would go in to walk out on Beyonce? I'd be like, cool,
well,
Beyonce's here.
I
You
know,
know?
I know. She gave them a free show and they were not appreciative.
Yeah.
And so I think that at that point something snapped in her. She's like, "Fine, you don't want to like invite me here? Then I'll just make a country album. Like, what are you gonna do? What
Or
are you
you
gonna
have
do
to
about it?"
nominate me.
Yeah. Well, apparently she also put that song Daddy Lessons in for the Grammys for like a country
Mm,
single, and they were like, "It's not country." Which is
wow.
wild because if you listen to that song, it is like stomp and holler kind of country. It is very country. So I think this is her song talking about like why in what way, wink, am I not country? And it's like the obvious reason is that she's black, it's that like that some country music is a little bit racist.
Which is
Uh
so interesting because, again, when you look at the root of country music, it is blues, which is
yes,
gospel, which
abs-
is in, definitely black culture. So
yeah.
even Elvis, like Elvis, all his music is influenced by gospel music and blues and black creators. So it's just like so interesting how weird
Well,
that is.
you see it happen again and again through like the
No.
music history is that this music that was really great only gets popular when a white person does
Right.
it.
No,
So
no,
I
true.
think like this is sort of her thesis statement of being like, I'm taking this back. And the whole album, the way that
Mhm.
she, highlights black artists, the way that she sort of even incorporates songs from black artists and some of those
Mhm.
like Willie Nelson, Smokehouse little interludes, which are really funny. It's just her way of saying like, hey, the roots of country are with the black community. It's not just, it's not just the people you see on the stage at the
Mhm.
CMAs. Like it's me
Mhm.
too. I'm just as country, if not more country than these people.
100%. No, for sure.
And
Like you said, it's a good intro.
she does that a lot in the album where she literally is like, I know you're gonna bite back at me about it, so I'm gonna bite back at you first. I'm literally gonna tell you, yeah, I know that this is a song that has weird genres. Guess what? I'm
Yeah.
still doing it.
Like
I
genre
love
is
that
just a
so-
concept. Like step outside of genres.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
loved it. I liked all that she was doing in there.
So good. Okay, Kat, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Just for Fun. This is an interesting one because I think it's the most like modern country. The reason I liked it is, they Beyonce again collaborated with this newer artist. It felt like, again, your most like honestly generic country song, but it was an easy listen. And I don't know, it's just like it was a good vibe. It's something I feel like I could put on in the background and kind of enjoy. So
That is, and that's one of the shorter ones too, right? Like a 2 minute.
it's right
Which one?
before, it's called Just for Fun, and it's right before the Miley Cyrus song, which
Oh
is
yeah,
interesting because obviously Beyonce also like breaks apart her album very well. So I forgot who intros that section, but like that section is the very easy listening modern country you'd hear, and then like right after that is that Miley song that kind of has a similar vibe.
yeah. And one of the things I feel like at least the last couple Beyonce albums have been known for are these like really cool transitions between songs or between sections of the album. I know like the thing on Renaissance is that some of the transitions were so smooth that like if you were sometimes when I was listening in the car, I was
You think you're
like,
listening to radio?
yeah, I was like, are we on are we on a new
Mm.
song? Like the transition was so smooth. I was like,
Mm,
wait, this is definitely a different
It did it
song.
a
Like
couple
when
times
did
in
it?
this one
Yeah.
too.
And it did it in a
yeah.
couple times in this one. And I think she is very thoughtful about the placement of her songs and where she puts things.
Because she knows also, unlike not, I feel like we've gotten better as a society of listening to albums as a full, making it an event, but she knows Beyonce. People are going to be listening to her album fully. Like it is a
Yeah.
story and is and I like doing that. I won't say I've always been like that, but in the most like probably 5 years or so, like ever since Lover came out for Taylor Swift, I'm like, you know what? I got to appreciate albums more, not just listen to one song I really like. I
Yeah.
want to see the full story.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done it a lot on this podcast, which is
We
fun. And we're
have.
actually going to be doing it a lot this month.
A lot this month. Yeah, this is our music month.
It really
Which
is.
is Which is crazy because there's so many other albums that came out where I was like, oh, that could be fun. Like Fletcher has a new album. Lizzie McAlpine I like, and she has a new album. Bleachers had a new album. There's a lot of people who had new albums.
They really are. Yeah. There's always music for us to talk about. All right,
There really
Amy,
is.
what's your number 3?
So here's the problem. I think I want to move Daughter from my number 4 to my number 3.
Okay.
That makes sense. So what's your number 4?
Allow it. We will allow it. So what is your new number 4?
Don't hate me, but it's Yaya. I loved Yaya.
Why would anyone hate you for Yaya?
It's such a good one.
It's so much fun because I love the genre matching. I love the like beginning 50s vibe. I love 40s 50 vibe. I had a great time listening to it. I will be honest, again, I was running errands. I was all over the county doing all the stuff I needed to do. And I'm like listening and I'm listening to the stories. I'm like, okay, this is okay. I'm thinking this. This was actually the first one in the album that I started kind of like vibing to, and where I actually smiled. And like that was just very impactful to me. So I still like Daughter's story more. Again, I like literally like there are multiple places where it goes 3 4 3 4 and I swap them around clearly. Amen was number 3 for a hot second. That got kicked off the list.
Yeah, that wasn't on my list too far.
Harmony, you know me, I love my harmonies.
Yeah,
so that was why it was on my list for a short time, and then I was like, that's dumb. But Yaya definitely is my 4, and then Daughter is my 3. But that was just straight vibes, having a good time. Thought it was really entertaining. The kind of song that I would listen to on repeat for funsies.
I really liked Yaya a lot. That was my number 6, and I was really struggling. I was because I think it's such a well crafted song. Also, one of my most favorite people in my world is my Yaya, who helped raise me when I was like 5 days old. So I have a very special place for not that Yaya, but when I see Yaya, I'm like Yaya. So I was like, all right, I gotta show my Yaya that. But it's so interesting because like growing up, there's been like artists called Yaya, and like people that know I have someone in my life called Yaya. I was like, is she like a musician? Because it's such a weird name. It's not a name you would like have a lot. But anyways, Yaya, I really liked as a song because it was so different, so genre mashing. Yeah. But because I like sad girl songs more, that is why I was number 6. Because I know I'm going to be listening to the sad girl songs more often. So,
well, it might be coming up on my list as well. So,
yay!
Seems like we all had it.
Then I'm glad. I don't know why. Like it struck me.
It's a popular song.
Like, is it okay? Because I actually was listening to it and I was like, I like this. When I like it, that doesn't always mean that it's gonna be popular.
That's true.
I looked at a lot of rankings just to like kind of get a vibe of where people put it.
I was like, what am I doing? Like crying.
Yaya was high up for like almost every ranking.
Yeah. I think Billboard made it their number 1. Yeah.
I think that it's the smile factor. I think that there is something to be said about listening to a song and being like, okay, I'm listening for this, I'm listening for that, I'm listening for Miley, I'm listening for the story, I'm listening for the harmonies. But then there's also a point where you're like, you know what, this is just a fucking fun song. This is fun to vibe to.
If you're looking for fun.
You're looking for fun, and there's a smile factor involved with that. And I distinctly remember being like, okay, like I'm actually really enjoying myself right now, and I think that that's something everybody wants to hear out of a Beyonce album because she's really good at that. When you're enjoying yourself listening to a Beyonce song, you're like, damn, I am having a great time right now. Mm-hmm. And there are some good great time songs on this album, but I think that one is definitely top tier great time song.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go into it. That's also my number 3.
Well, technically it's Amy's number 4, but
it's Amy's number 4. It's my number 3. It was number 2, and it was like it went back and forth, and I've just been adjusting my list as we talk. But I was like, you know what? Let's talk about it now. Honestly, my top 3 could all just be number 1 or number 3 at this point. So I was like, let's not wait. Let's talk about it now. Yeah, I think it's so fun. I love the intro about genres going right into that song. I love the way that she starts with the like hello like the hello girls, hello Beyonce. So fun, everybody's snapping. I love the Beach Boys interlude where they play Good Vibrations. I think it's just like really her at her most fun and all, but also still doing all the stuff on the album that she's doing, which is like mashing genres together, being country, but also being, other different genres and just kind of shoving them all together. I think it's such a fun song.
Was the I don't even know if the Beach Boys are alive. I think they are. Like, was that a current interlude or was it like one of their old songs they did?
Oh no, it's an old song. Yeah, the
Okay.
Good Vibrations is such an old song.
Well, I mean, like, do you think they re-recorded it, or do you
No,
think
I
they
think it's
sampled
probably I think it's
Okay.
probably a sample. Yeah,
That's what
but
I thought so too.
Interesting.
it was really
But-
fun though. She uses samples on this album really interestingly. I think there's also maybe in the but in one of the songs I was like, that sounds a lot like Fleetwood Mac. And I'm not sure if it was, but it's there was one song that sounded like it had little landslidey on it. And I was
Whoa,
like,
I feel like if there was, I feel like I would have been inside.
the
But I'm not.
landslide? Is it taking me down?
With that landslide. Or, but I love a good sample on a album. My earphones just died while we were
Oh
talking.
no.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just take them off. It's fine. I'll be back while we talk, but I gotta charge these.
Amy, should I toss it over to you? You can do your
Yeah.
number 2 and then we'll go back to Kat.
So my number 2, I would like to blame the radio for. It's Texas Hold'em.
Amy, why do we have the same list? I swear to God, that's my number 2. It was originally
What was number 2?
Okay,
Texas
Amy's
Hold'em.
number 2 is Texas
Oh,
Hold'em.
really? Okay.
It was originally my number 3, and then I was like, well, we're talking about and Yaya was my number 2, but I was like, well, we're talking about Yaya, so I'll just rearrange them. It's also my number 2, which is so funny.
Texas Hold'em was so hard for me because I think it has such a good beat, but the lyrics are so not
mediocre.
Yeah, it's just like I'm gonna text them, I'm gonna hold them. I was just like, what?
What Amy said
poker
about
reference.
What
yeah,
Amy
I
said
like
about
poker a
Yaya,
lot. That's not much.
What Amy said about Yaya really, for me, relates to this song where it's like, yeah, are the lyrics a lot deeper on like a lot of the other songs, like the Protector song where she's talking about like being her daughter's projectors and her kids' projectors. I was like crying. I was like, it's so beautiful. Yeah, are the lyrics to Texas Hold'em beautiful? No. Is it like one of the catchiest songs I've heard in like the last couple of years? Absolutely, yes. Like
I got it, Texas. I got a hold.
Also, when we listen to it in the car, I like to do the little whoos along with it, and I feel like that should give it the number 2.
You and Mike going whoo.
I can go over a hill.
That's it for me too. It's just fun to listen to,
just
and
really fun.
Subliminal messaging. It's been out there for a hot
second.
Out there
for a long
there's
time.
Something about listening to that on the album, being like, ooh, familiarity.
Know that one.
And I heard there's a lot of TikTok dancing for it, which I'm not surprised by. But no, it was a good single for her.
It's also, I mean, it's a single for a reason. I think that it's one of the songs that best exemplifies Beyonce x country.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them working together. Like, there are some where it's Beyonce trying to be country or country trying to be Beyonce. Even though that's not it. I don't actually think there's every point where she's trying to be country or country's trying to be Beyonce. But if I had to break it down, there's some where it skews one way or another. Texas Hold'em feels like it fits right in the middle. Like, it's the perfect balance of those kind of fun little country vibes you expect to hear while traveling in the airport at Nashville with the best of Beyonce. It's just fun, it's catchy, and the lyrics may not be anywhere near as in depth or imagery specific as Daughter, but it's just so gosh damn catchy.
It's just so catchy. It's like a song that I like want to do a line dance to, and I don't do group coordinated dances, but I want to for this one.
I literally thought that. I was like, this is a line dance song, and I'm sorry, but that is country necessity. If you cannot line dance to a non-ballad country song, it is not country.
I want to put on a little pair of cowboy boots and get like a little hat and be like, ma'am.
I would like to line dance to ballad songs. Thank you very much. I would like to line dance to Daughter.
Can I please talk about my sad girl songs for just
please.
a second? Let's line dance to those.
Kat, have you been line dancing before?
No, and I would never go.
What?
To be fair,
I don't like to dance. I'm not a big dancer unless I'm very drunk.
It's okay. Well, but this is perfect for you because you don't like It is group
It's dancing with
tomfoolery.
instructions.
Yes, you spend the first hour, they give you instructions, they teach you a song. The rest, when you line up, the people in front are doing the song,
They
and
block
you're
you?
like,
So
no,
no one can
there's
see?
no mirror. They can't see you, so you're standing behind
someone's
them, and
seeing
the
you
people in
dance.
front of you. What?
There's gotta be someone seeing you dance. Like there's gonna be people are
Well,
gonna be
yeah,
watching. So
but it's all
my
about
point
how.
is there are people in front of you, so no one sees you dancing.
Go, but if
I
you
do
go all the way
dance-
in the back, then you're all the way in the
I
back.
did
and you're
dance for
And you
8
go with
years,
friends.
and I was
You gotta
always
go
in
in
the
the
back.
middle of the pack.
You
Yeah, I
gotta go
wanna-
with friends. You gotta go. I'm a terrible dancer. I can do, when we audition for theater stuff, I can sing, I can act. If there is a dance call, I'm out
You're like, "Good day,
immediately.
sir."
Like literally, I would love to do more dance classes, because that's something else I should add to my plate. But whenever I look at a musical and I'm like, oh, I should audition for this, I can sing that song, I'm like, right, that character taps.
Oh God,
Can't do
yeah,
that.
that's like an intense
Look,
one.
I'll do
too.
I can-
karaoke and dance there. I'm not dancing. Dance? No, I'm good.
Line dancing, I didn't think I would like until I did it. And you go with friends. You go with somebody who knows
Yeah.
My
it.
friends are
because-
not dancing.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I could see your friends dancing, but you go
Julius
with the
likes to
intention
dance,
of
but-
acting like idiots, and you go and you have fun, because the first part of the song, so say the song has 5 parts, right? Like the song itself has 5 parts, verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chord, whatever. 5 parts in it. You do the dance from part 1 and 2 over and over and over again. So you repeat it. So by the time you get to the end of the song, you have a better hold of the song, and you just pick it up. And there's only so many dance moves you can do. It's not
It's
like
a lot
you're
of
doing
stepping forward, stepping back,
Yeah.
stepping to the
And
That I
side.
have
I
noticed.
mean,
heel,
I mean
out,
to be
in.
fair, I'm sure there are really complicated line dances, but that's not the usual beginners.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of the girls who's a bridesmaid in my friend's wedding teaches the line dances, and she's always like, "You guys should just come out and do the
Do
do
it
the
for
line
free.
So
dances."
fun.
And I was like, "I really should." I'm like, "What am I doing?"
I mean,
dancing is
you
fun.
have the inn. You have a
I
place.
do. I
where
have an
you-
inn.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's a place I'm going to try.
And you don't do every song. You do a song, and then you go and you sit down and you drink and you chat for 2 songs. Then you go back up and do another song. So it's almost like karaoke, but for dance. You go up if you know the song, or if you
Right.
feel like learning that song, or they'll literally announce this is an easier song, or this is more complex.
I'm
so much fun.
1%
Anyway.
gonna do that. Just constantly watching it. I'm gonna.
You're
1%.
more likely to watch Constantine than to go
100%.
line dancing.
Yeah, it would have to be a big favor for somebody if I'm doing that. It's
Oh
your
my
birthday or
goodness.
something. I'm
That's so
okay,
funny.
you really want to do this for your birthday, I'll go. But a random Tuesday, no.
Oh, man. But Texas Hold'em, great country line dancing song.
Great
That's where this
song.
goes back to. It's a
We
great
gotta-
line
proud.
dancing song.
Amy and I
proud
are
of
gonna go line
Beyonce.
dancing to Texas Hold'em.
I can't
We'll
wait
drag
to watch
catalog.
you.
Cat can watch.
This is why the 3 of us have such a good podcast, because we
All
have
very
such
different.
diverse tastes, and
It's
yet we'll
so
find
funny.
something that we have in common.
For sure.
Morgan and I,
I
we're
would
going
not
line
have
dancing.
guessed that the line dance song was going to be on both of our lists, honestly.
Me either.
In
A
the
top
same
3.
position too.
All right, so
so
Kat,
Kat,
what's your number 2?
number
From
1.
mine is the sad girl song.
number 2, right?
Single.
Yeah.
16 carriages.
I
so
do not
good.
like this song.
I love 16
Oh my god. Okay,
carriages.
so I'm gonna give away again. I'm gonna give away something. This is my number 1.
It is not.
Just like Kat, I'm a sad bitch, and
Yeah.
I really like songs where it's there's a lot of emotion. And it's and I like that it's so simple, the
16
sort of
carriages.
16 carriages.
You're like, what?
I like because the 2 songs that came out when she announced this album was
listen
Texas
to it while you
Hold'em,
guys are-
which took over, and then this one, which as a sad lady, like Kat, like a sad girl songs, I was just listening to over and over again. I was like 16
I
carriages.
was playing Call of Duty, listening to 16 carriages over and over again. And I was shooting people 16 carriages. No, and also it has a good story. I like the whole idea of her
Agreed.
parents were struggling or whatever. I don't know if it was actually her parents, but what people have to deal with, things that you have to kind of put on your shoulders. And it was also catchy because there's some sad
Yeah.
girl songs that, look, I can even admit are a little boring. They're kind
Yeah.
of one note, but this had a little beat to it, but it was also sad. So I liked it. It was such a cat song.
I loved everything about this song except for one artistic choice that once I heard it, I couldn't unhear and it drove me nuts.
What was it?
The
It should have been 17
intentional
carriages.
with it. What?
It should have been 17 carriages.
There weren't enough carriages.
16. No, enough carriages. No, it was the intentional choice to make her breaths over the top
Right.
and very audible.
I say that.
Because there's breathy and then there's intentional breathy, and maybe it's today, maybe it's just the mood I was in, but that grinded on me a little bit. And once I started
breathe in a
hearing
lot. It's definitely breathing out a lot. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she's a very skilled singer, and it struck me a little as poor breath control, even though it's not. It is 100% an artistic choice. But because it was the second song of the album, what happened is, second or third song of the album, I was like, is this gonna be the whole album? Is this what the story we're gonna tell? Like, is this the vibe and the style that we're giving?
So it could have been sadder.
Yeah, could have been a little sadder.
Yeah. Cat's feedback could have been sadder. Amy's not enough carriages.
No, I liked everything about that song, but that was just like that one little weird quirky thing. We've all got that something.
You're the only trained singer here,
and this is why I always like having Amy on these music episodes, because like I just listen to things and I'm just like vibing. I'm just like, I love it.
Did you guys not pick up on that at all? Because it drove me
not at all.
Not at all.
Literally
again, we're not trained singers, so
and I've heard it 100 times.
Yeah.
It might be because I'm active. Actually, this is probably why I'm actively working on increasing my audition book. And an audition book is like the book that you go into an audition and you pull out your audition song. This is what I'm going to sing, but then you've got other songs that are an option. And as I've been working with some coaches and doing workshops, one of the things that we pick up on every single workshop, people are going to point out your breath control. The way that you are breathing and choosing to breathe and where you're breathing is going to give you the strength to give you and to sing that song.
Well, especially theater, right? Theater singing,
especially
so much about your
theater.
Diaphragm.
And that's never been my problem. I'm always really good with breath control, except for this one audition song that I'm trying to work on right now that if I can nail it, will be super good. But there's this one stanza where I'm having to sneak a breath in to actually physically get this note out. And if I don't sneak the breath in, I don't have enough air for the note.
Right.
But the breath doesn't fit in the phrase. And no matter who sings it or who performs it, everybody puts a breath in there so they can get that final note. And it drives me nuts because it feels like it wasn't written for a singer. And I recognize that this is an artistic choice. She does not need to breathe in every literally 3 measures. But
because that sometimes tells stories. Yeah.
It's the story. But it's just one of those things that, like, once I heard it, I was like, can you stop? Like, it's just driving me nuts for zero reason.
But because also the song, again, is about, like, trying to hold the weight of the world pretty much. So it kind of makes sense to have a breathier song for it, because you're like, I'm out of breath because of how much of the world I'm carrying.
Yeah. And it's I didn't pick up the breath work at all in the song, but I like the emotion, and I feel like probably does, subconsciously, for people who aren't like listening for that kind of stuff, probably does add to that, because it is like, taking like a breath in or taking a breath out, sort of like to release the emotion. And that is interesting. I'm gonna obviously the next time I listen to it, though, I'm gonna be listening for the breath stuff now, because I'm gonna
try, but as Call of Duty's playing in the background,
it's gonna be hard while you're playing Call of Duty.
I think what's interesting now that we're talking about it, this is also why I love having these conversations, because something always comes up as we're talking. If you think about it artistically, the idea of her breathing in so often, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, and never having the time to actually breathe out. How many people who are picking up the weight of the world and having to carry other people's stuff that are carrying everybody else and don't actually have time to breathe for themselves. They're breathing everything they can. They're bringing everything in, but you don't actually get a chance to just sit there and exhale. Like, how artistically clever is that?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
just
She's such
making
an
me rethink.
artist.
She
She's such
really
an
is, and I
artist.
love that.
Yeah.
I love all of that.
I love that there's like layers. I love that like when a new
Mhm.
Beyonce album comes out, I feel like I learn things I didn't know before. That's really cool.
I agree.
And I also like that it was like it's kind of like a road song. Like in the country tradition, there's lots of songs about, being out on the road. That's even some of the songs on her album kind of mention it. But this one I feel like it's a road song. She's talking about, being on a lonely road, as a sort of a metaphor for like shouldering all these things by herself. But, in a more literal way, there's a lot of country songs about being out on the road. And I like that it's sort of tying to that tradition.
Just know, if you need to know anything about country music, is that there's a lot of road songs and
A lot
there's
of
a lot
road.
of songs about jeans.
Lot of jeans, a lot of jeans. Which brings us to Kat, do you want to start with your we know my number one already, so I'm
Mine
not
is
a
not the
mystery.
jeans song. I actually
Uh,
did not love the song. I'll talk about
All
it.
right, we're gonna talk
I
about
will
that for
talk
sure.
about it. But my number one actually is the Miley song. It's Two Most Wanted. I really,
Nice.
really like that song.
Really?
Yeah.
That
That's the
is
one
it's
I've been
a great
listening to
song.
the most, and I can see myself like 5 years still listening to that song.
It's a really good one.
It's impressive.
All right,
Amy,
Amy, take
is
us
it the
home.
jeans?
What's your number one?
It's the Levi's jeans song.
Yes. Denim on denim on denim.
Okay, one thing I gotta say, what's so interesting about this song is that the reason why I didn't love it is because Post Malone doesn't come in until so much later. And I was like, I just listened to the Miley one, and the right after, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to listen to Posty. I'm like listening, I'm like, where is he? And then he just starts
But
like, it's
it's
just
classic country guest though. Like it's
It is,
classic
but-
for country songs like that to have them come in just for a little segment and then leave.
but Post Malone deserves more. And also I feel like he is such a good like country singer. He's like really good at like
He is
his
really
voice
good.
is so freaking interesting because of the way he controls his voice. And they just he was not utilized. I just wanted him utilized more. Respect for Posty. There's no
See,
respect.
I think he was utilized just enough because again, it felt to me very country vibes. Very like I'm telling this story and it's kind of it's kind to me it struck me as a and again, I speaking with my limited knowledge of the country that I just listened to like in the background. I never really go to country music things. I enjoy it as a passive listener. It felt very country to me in a relaxed way, in the kind of way that I wanted to hear. And it's classic to have something come in and they do just this one little section and then they leave. Like that to me felt right. But I loved just just kind of the nature of a song where it's Beyonce singing about how she be like them Levi jeans. Like there's just something fun about it. And
Are you
I
a
don't
Posty
know.
fan now? Or are you just were you a Post Malone fan now?
I do enjoy Post Malone stuff, so I've
Okay.
listened to Post Malone stuff. I have heard some of his other stuff before,
Okay.
and maybe that was part of it too. Is that it was recognizable to me in a country way, kind of like how Miley's was. You go, okay, Miley's a country singer. It adds frosting onto the cake, and Post Malone has done country stuff, and it's again more frosting on the cake. But I just really enjoyed it, and I thought it was kind of classic country, you know. The people joke about how country is about like my truck, my dog, and my guns,
My
and
Levi's
just
jeans.
my jeans. Like it's about my jeans, and I just want to hug you close like my jeans. Like that's pretty classic country. Like I just want to ride you like my truck. Like that's classic country song.
So true.
What's that one song? Back Road. Like I want to ride you like a back road home. Like like long throughout the night. Like it's just classic kind of country vibes, and I really enjoyed that. And again, that was just listenability for me. But I definitely listened to that one, Yaya and Texas Hold'em multiple times in a row, and Daughter more than once. Again, this was about like initial thoughts. Which ones did I listen to again and be like, oh, hold on, I want to listen to that one again. But Levi Jeans definitely topped that list. I listened to it multiple times.
All right, Morgan, I got to hear the Levi jeans.
Oh, No, it was close
liked
on
it?
mine. It was close on mine too.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like when I was deciding like the final spot, I was like, okay, I want to do one of the collabs because I like them both, and I went
Mhm.
back and forth. But it was like Posty or Miley, and I was like, I don't know, how am I gonna pick the Levi's jeans song over the Miley song? Let's be honest. Let's be honest with yourself. But I do think that I think it's really fun. I think it is like Amy said, it's a very classic country thing to be
Mhm.
like, I love my trucks and I love my jeans, and I think Post Malone is like they have like really good chemistry on the song. I think it's like, the back and forth is also kind of feels like a little bit of a classic country thing where it's like, those sort of singing to each other.
Justice for Posty.
Justice for Posty.
Morgan, remind me, what was your number one?
It was 16 carriages.
Oh, that's right.
So when we were talking about it with Kat, I was like, well, that was also my number one. You know what is funny? I was tracking our numbers in like a little like
I like it.
notepad.
Mhm.
And we actually have a lot of overlap. Especially me and Amy and I essentially have the same list.
So funny. I had to put in the more sad girl songs, so that's
yeah,
okay.
I think we all had Most Wanted on our list.
Which is good. I'm happy to see that.
All three of us had that. Me and Amy had Yaya. We had Texas Hold'em, and we had Most Wanted. And then me and you, Kat, had 16 Carriages. So yeah, there actually wasn't that many of them. That was just one of us had it, which I thought was going to be like with the album with 27 tracks. I was like, oh, there's maybe we'll all just pick a completely different top 5. And I do think it's funny that it wasn't that different actually.
No, I'm actually really surprised, and I think maybe that's the power of Beyonce. She brings people together. She brings the legendary ladies together.
The power of Beyonce is that My Rose was the last song on my list that I didn't like from her because there were 2 seconds.
Skipped that song.
That one was so
like
short.
I started and then I skipped it, and it was not even that long.
That's the power of Beyonce.
I think you guys will appreciate that I just sent to the girls the lyrics to "Body Like a Back Road."
I was looking at that, and I thought that was so fun.
It is literally "Body like a back road, driving with my eyes closed. I know every curve like the back of my hand." That's just classic country.
But who sings it?
I'm a Sam Hunt.
Oh yeah,
really, it's a really catchy song too. By the way,
like if you see someone who likes country, they probably went to his concert.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I
of a certain demographic.
Yeah, I know the big country artists that like it's hard to like.
I was thinking white girl 20. Yeah,
they have Ugg boots and
yeah, but it's just
they're waiting for hot girl autumn
vibe to it. Okay.
Yeah. I did want to say, I just want to give a special props to Sweet Honey Buckin, which didn't make my list, but was close for the lyric. Look at that horse. Look at that horse. Which as somebody who grew up reading every book about horses, because I was sure that if I was born into like a different life, I would have been like a great like horse rider. I appreciate, because every time I see a horse, I do say, look at that horse.
I like the vibe of that one.
That one's so fun. Yeah.
I wish some I wanted to put on my list didn't get to. Spaghetti I really liked. As someone who does like, rap music and hip hop, I was like, oh, that's like the closest you could kind of get to that on this album. Tyrant I also liked. It was something that kind of kept going down on my list though, because I was like, it kind of has the Posty effect where like I didn't really hear Dolly that much, and I was like, oh, I kind of wish Dolly was in it a little bit more,
Yeah, Tyrant is a weird one where when I'm listening to it, I'm like, this has got to be a top song.
Right.
And then as soon as I stop listening to it and I'm like, somebody mentions Tyrant, I'm like, what was that one? Like, what did that one sound like? And I'm trying to imagine in my head and I have a hard time. But it's a very good song. Yeah. It's just not as catchy as some of the other ones. Like Bodyguard's so catchy. Like once it gets in your head, it's just stuck there all day. But Tyrant, I feel like, doesn't have that earworm ability.
Mm-hmm.
It started just absolutely pouring outside my house. Like,
oh no!
Like, what am I hearing? It's
the rain.
This wasn't an earthquake.
Yeah, no, like we had today.
So funny. And here's the thing: I have been watching so many videos of everybody's just like, "What was that? Was that an earthquake?
It was also very light. It was not.
And everybody just continues going on their way. And so I finally, when East Coasters are like, oh my God, you guys live through earthquakes? And I'm like, no, literally, we just are like, oh, the ground shook, whatever, back to
People
business.
left their house. I was like, people are like outside the house being like, did you hear that? And I'm seeing people walking the streets. I'm like,
I
What was that tweet that you sent us?
Oh,
I forget.
now I'm
What
trying
was
to
it?
remember.
Tectonic plate, I'm walking here.
I'm walking here. It's one of my favorite New York things, or like tri-state area things. It was so funny. I was on like a work call, and obviously you can see behind me, like I
Yeah.
sit right next to a china cabinet. So
Oh.
obviously
I
I thought things were ending. I thought it was the end time.
No.
Because and I also live in a condo, so sometimes like people, neighbors just hit into things and things shake, and I don't really worry about it. But I was like, oh my God, what is the neighbor doing? And then it just started shaking more, and I was like, uh-oh. I'm looking around the house. I've got so many tchotchkes. I'm like, they're all gonna fall. I ran the 2 steps into my living room because I was like, this is sort of a central location with not much around me. And by the time I was in the living room looking around, it was over. Like, that's how fast it was.
It wasn't long. I was on the phone with Phil, and he was just like, because we don't live that far from each other. He's like, did you feel that? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like 2 seconds later, I felt it. And he's like, that wind?
That's kind of cool.
I'm like,
actually.
how would I feel the same wind you're feeling? It's an and I was like, it's an earthquake. And he doesn't remember the 2011 one. He said, I've never felt it. He might have been in the car or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I hear that if
felt
you're in the car,
earthquake
you don't
before.
feel anything.
So
Yeah.
that was funny. So his parents were in New Jersey. So I felt nothing. So I was like, oh, maybe New Jersey didn't get it. And then I texted you. It was like, no, I felt it. And then I found the epicenter was there. But they were in the car and didn't feel it.
Yeah, if you see where the epicenter was, it was not far from where I was. So I think we probably got like a stronger version. Like everything in the house rattled and shook. But like
nothing fell.
Nothing fell. Nothing even was close to falling.
And everyone's so dramatic.
My cats thought it was the end, and they ran.
You want to hear a funny story? So, supposedly also Phil's cat didn't even care. But funny story, I was watching, I wasn't even watching, my dad's like, oh, I want to watch Good Morning America, just to see like if they reacted. He was like, oh, that's stupid, they didn't. So he kept the television on, and I was making lunch, and we're both like upstairs at the same time making lunch. And I passed the television, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. And this reporter, there's a Yankee game on. He talks to this little kid, and everyone's talking about this earthquake. It's the biggest deal ever. And he says, instead of like, what do you think of the Yankee game? He's like, how did you feel about that earthquake? And how do you answer that question? He's like, it's cool, I guess. And then he interviews over.
Oh,
that's classic.
That's okay. My mom texted me. Oh, look at Octavia. My mom texted me, and she was like, I'm tired of hearing about this earthquake. Like an hour after it happened.
It's all over the news over
and
here,
I was
too.
Like,
it's
Mom,
wild.
You can just turn off the news.
Your phone rang 2 hours later telling you an earthquake was there.
We never even got that, by the way.
Oh, that's funny.
I got twice.
They didn't care about New Jersey at all. They were just like, you figure it out yourself.
I got
Did
it.
you guys ever get earthquake drills in
school?
No,
we've got
okay.
We get 9/11 drills.
This is the second earthquake we've had in like 15 years.
20 years, right? Yeah.
No, 10.
So when an earthquake
the first one was 2011, right?
Do you guys know where you're supposed to go?
Doorways.
No.
Okay,
well,
great.
yes, but I thought you meant somewhere else.
Not the
I just
middle
ran
of
to
the
the center of my room.
But I was like, this feels safe, and it's like, no, it wasn't.
But also, is there really going to be an earthquake that's that crazy here? I did go underneath my door frame because I was there just while I was talking, so I was like, I guess I'll stay here.
We get hurricanes more often than we get
That's true.
Earthquakes.
We only get those every 20 years too.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, except for
the
now,
East Coast is like
change.
Well, yeah, everything's going to change. The East Coast is like, when it comes to extreme weather, sort of chillish.
Sometimes.
Yeah. The tornado,
so
that's true.
You got like alerts afterwards?
Yeah, 2 hours afterwards because they didn't know what to do. We got it. They're like, earthquake happened. I'm like, yeah, of course we know.
We were there.
It's like, calm down. It's like, yeah, we have.
And then 2 hours later, and they're loud. These alerts are like, brrr! And I was like, okay. And then in 2 hours, they're like, there might be an aftershock.
The alert was probably scarier than the earthquake.
was.
Did you guys get the aftershock though, Kat? Did you
Yeah,
feel it?
I was sitting on my stair and I'm like, what was that? I was like, oh, that was the aftershock. That was nothing.
Yeah, I was sitting on the couch, like lying on the couch, like reading, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're getting another one. I
That's
yelled,
so
I think
funny.
we just got an aftershock. Mike was like, yeah, I felt it.
It was very nonchalant. The
Yeah.
point being is that no one was hurt. It was not a bad earthquake, and everyone made a really big deal. And people are like, that I didn't know. So you're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
It's all
I think I
good.
posted something on Twitter about like my cats being in the room with me after the earthquake, like I was like some source of calm. And a couple people tweeted like really sweetly. I'm like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, like literally nothing even fell in my
Like
house.
literally
No.
fine.
It's
It
fine."
wasn't even like if there was someone on the edge of the table, it probably wouldn't have fallen.
Yeah, I walked past a thing where like I had a picture frame that was like right on the edge of something, and I was like, "Oh, that didn't even fall." So
Right.
we got
So
really
if you
lucky.
were worried, we're okay.
Oh, we got double cats here. We got Bunsen
Oh
here.
yeah, if you
Wow.
guys
We
are
got
watching the
pizza.
video, which you can watch on YouTube, if you go to the
Awesome.
Legendary Ladies and subscribe, you can see Morgan and I are both being overwhelmed by our cats.
Yeah,
They're
cats
in our,
are.
we
I
have
don't own a
cats on the
cat.
laps.
I'm enough of a cat for
You are enough of a cat.
yeah.
You are a cat. A
I am a
literal
cat.
Yeah.
I really like cats.
Each one of our screens has a cat right now.
That's true.
Sure.
This is
But,
a cat-filled podcast. All right. Well, I think I realized we asked our listeners to send in their top 5s. And so Rachel, who joined us in the chat because she's a Patreon supporter, said she's only listened to the album once, but she really liked the first song, Texas Hold'em, Tyrant, and Bodyguard.
Like it.
And also, Fiona tweeted at us and said, hard to pick because they're all so good, but I think 5 Blackbird, 4 Yaya, 3 Texas Hold'em, 2 Jolene, and 2 Most Wanted. So I mean, again, a lot
That's
of
kind of
overlap
like a
with our list.
combination of our
Yeah,
lists.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
true.
There's a lot of obvious ones, but also it was very
Yeah.
hard. Like we said, it was
So
a
hard.
strong album. But if you guys enjoyed this, again, we are going to do this more. So the next one we're going to do is Maggie Rogers. So get ready for that. She has a new album. We're going to listen to the previous album she did, which I loved, which is mostly why we're listening to it. And we're going to listen to the new one and see the comparison. Also added to this, maybe this will interest you guys. She wrote a Harvard paper about her last album. She
What?
went
Interesting.
to okay, because she was a singer before that, and during the pandemic, she's like, I'm gonna get a degree in about the religious experience of live performances. And she made her whole album, her thesis statement was that album. So that album is actually a Harvard is about a Harvard
That's
degree.
crazy.
It's
That's
a literal
so
senior
cool.
project. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I like that a lot. No, now I'm gonna really enjoy it because I've heard songs off of that album, but I
Mhm.
haven't like listened to it like an album, like start to finish. And I'm gonna really enjoy knowing that now as I'm listening to it.
Yeah, no, I
Absolutely.
love it. I really like Maggie Rogers a lot, and her singles came out for this album, and they're really really good too. So I think it's gonna be good. And Rachel, yes, we are gonna be talking about the new Taylor Swift album. As
Yeah,
well.
Rachel asked if we're gonna be talking about the new Taylor Swift album. Of course we are. What a blessed time we live in.
Blessed.
So we'll look forward to that. I think we could all agree we really we like this Beyonce album. Again, it was the first time I listened. Besides Lemonade, I think Lemonade
Yeah.
was probably the last one I was like listened in full. But it was the first one I kind of listened in full, and I had a nice experience with it.
Yeah, I think as an album, it's a fun listening experience from start to finish. Like you can put it on start to finish and have like a fun experience with it because of the way that she laid out the tracks and because of the
Yeah.
way it has
Mhm.
little sections in between, that talk about different genres and different music and all the guest stars, Dolly and Willie Nelson and stuff like that were also very fun. But so
Mhm.
yeah, it's a great album. You should go and listen to it. Um, so I think that's gonna wrap us up on a Beyonce. Kat, where can the people find you? What are you up to? Are you kickstarting something?
We are we have our big Kickstarter coming up next Monday, so April 15th. It's Witches of Oz, has close to 900 followers. It's kind of crazy. Beast and Snow, which was our other not safe for work book, had about 700 followers when we launched. So it's kind of this should be a good one. So if you like you want to see gay Wizard of Oz with Glinda and the Wicked Witch. You should definitely check this one out. We're really excited about it. Terry Moore, who did Strangers in Paradise, did a cover for us and is so gracious, is not just giving us one original art piece, but giving us 2 original art pieces
That's so
to
cool.
sell on the campaign. So that's really cool. It looks like Amy is watching, so we're for video. You're like, Amy's like, what's going on? For audio, you won't know. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. I'm also selling some Fox enamel pins for LGBTQ pins. All that stuff is on my Twitter at Comic Uno. And honestly, really excited for the episodes we have coming up. We are taking next week off, and then we'll have, honestly, one of those weeks we're probably going to have 2 episodes in 1 week because of the way things are lining up. So,
Yeah,
look
so it'll
forward
be
to that.
exciting.
Yeah, and a lot of music stuff. So if you like this, you'll enjoy that. And also, thanks for watching our Top Chef. That was like one of our
Yeah,
most
people
listened
love
to
Top
now.
Chef.
Yeah.
People love Top Chef.
Can we read the reviews from YouTube about this episode?
We've
Because
if you
I'm
want to.
convinced that the lack of my presence is why this did so well.
I don't
So
think I'm
maybe-
convinced
maybe
by
it-
that.
Maybe it was the Mike. Maybe it was the Mike super fans. Did we ever consider that?
That's true.
We have Mike super fans, but yeah, no, yeah. Just go back and read the YouTube comments, guys. It's
YouTube
wild.
comments are wild. You guys are wild out there. Leave nice comments. Think about things before you type them.
I hope the next comment is that we love that Amy was in this episode. we enjoyed Amy being on this episode.
Yeah. And then write it a few times in a row for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like not like bye. No.
Amy, speaking of you, what are you what do you got going
Kat,
on?
is that all you've got going on?
It's enough for now, yeah.
Kat's like, it's fine. It's only 2 Grammys and an Oscar.
Mm.
The Academy
that means I didn't
Awards
get
we don't
the
need to
EGOT.
talk about.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I've got 2 things going on coming up. So one the girls know about, one they don't.
I know, I'm excited.
So one is summertime in July, mid-July. So the 2 weekends in mid-July, the 11th through the 20th of July, 2024. I am in a production of Much Ado About Nothing up at Shakespeare in the Vines in Temecula, California. I get to play Beatrice, which is the female lead in the production.
Woo.
And she is spicy. She slaps back. She's that kind of fast talker. And it's a full-on, like, if you guys have never read, listened to, seen Much Ado About Nothing, it's a very enemies to lovers, trope-filled, super fun rom-com, hilarious cast.
It's it's like more comedy, right? Yeah.
And it's really accessible. When I did Macbeth and when I did Julius Caesar, those are really good, wonderful productions. But for a lot of like my friends or lay people, they would, I'd be like, just read the synopsis ahead of time so you can follow what's going on. Much Ado is a lot more accessible. It's really easy to follow what's going on. A lot of it's kind of slapstick humor. We're going to be doing a lot of physical humor. There's going to be some literal singing, some literal dancing, but it's directed by...
I didn't even understand there would be musical parts of it. That's
that's fun.
There's not. Like, you get to... So we're adding things in. So that's the fun part about Shakespeare. So we haven't even started rehearsals for that. That starts rehearsing in May. But we cast that really, really early. But it's a wonderful season. So even if you can't make it for that, Shakespeare in the Vines is also doing King Lear and Julius
Is it like
Caesar.
Shakespeare in the Park, or is it in a...
Yes.
Okay.
It's at a vineyard. So it's an outdoor setting. It starts at 7:30 at night. And I've seen multiple productions there every year. So this is a group that I've wanted to work with for a very long time. But it's kind of magical. You're sitting on this gorgeous slope looking down at a set built specifically for this theater in the middle of Temecula wine country. You get the warm summer breeze blowing through the audience as the sun is setting behind the actors. It's just idyllic. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm really, really excited to perform that. So that's in July. If anyone is interested, I will be talking all about it on Instagram, Amy_hip on Instagram. And then the second thing that I am in is a brand new musical theater production of a never before performed or never before seen musical called The Wind People.
Ooh, okay.
And The Wind People is written by the same playwright who did Welcome to Sleepy Hollow, which is the
Oh,
production I did
nice.
back in
That's
October.
really cool.
And she's local, and she's
Ooh.
actually put together this cast. It was something where she contacted us and said,
Wow.
"I want you in my cast. We're putting together this production, and we literally are rehearsing for all of April. We literally we rehearse in April, we perform in the first weekend of May, and it's just 4 performances in May." And it will be the first ever production of this musical. It is a 9-person a cappella only musical.
Wow, this sounds
A
up your
lot of-
alley.
It's very much up my alley, and I'm very, very excited. We're even going to have a professional Broadway singer who will be in the production, who has been on the Book of Mormon traveling for years. And so I know him from when I did Sleepy Hollow 20 years ago.
Wow.
We were in the same Sleepy Hollow production. So this is a full circle show for me. So I'm really, really excited about that. I'll be also announcing that once we get graphics and stuff in May. But it's also an outdoor production, and there will literally be like raining down on us intentionally. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm really excited. It's really cool to have two theatrical productions coming up back to back.
One day will be during San Diego Comic-Con, so we could see
Well,
it.
the Much Ado one is so close to Comic-Con that it's annoyingly difficult for people to come to.
I know.
Because you would have to come out
so
a
early.
full week early.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do? Unless you're taking a vacation, being like, you know
Right.
what? The Monday through Wednesday, I'm vacay.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's actually too close to Comic-Con to be convenient for a lot of people unless you're in Southern California.
Right.
But
That's a bummer. We're so close. I did get to see you in that one
You
show.
did.
I know.
One of these days I'm getting out for another one.
It's so cool. No, I really appreciate you guys. But yeah, I will post all about them coming up at one again, beginning of May, one middle of July. So if you guys are in Southern California, because one's in Temecula and one is in Carlsbad. So there is a pretty wide span of where you could go to see me. I will also be starting, I've had it on my Instagram for a while, but I'm going to be starting a literal gas money fundraiser. So if anyone wants to support a starving theater artist endeavors, to help get me up to Temecula, because it is a solid 45 almost hour long drive, plus or minus traffic, at San Diego gas prices, real great.
Not fun.
I will be starting a real basic like fundraiser thing on Instagram, but there's also a way to have an Amazon wish list with theater items I need, like literally stuff for wigs, stuff for makeup, stuff for outfits, like shoes, all the random things you would not think add up in the theater world that really do start to add up. So that's a great way. Something else, if you guys are theater people and you want to start something like that, or you have friends who are theater people, that's a great way to support them. Be like, hey, I noticed that you need this particular type of lipstick that doesn't leave your lips when you kiss someone on stage, because that's a huge problem. But those type of lipsticks are really expensive. Yeah, you don't think about it until you kiss someone and then they kiss your forehead and then you leave stage and come back on wearing their lipstick.
All messed up.
It's so funny. It was literally one day, it was in Sleepy Hollow. He runs up, he's like, oh my God. He's like trying to get it off my forehead, like between the scenes. I'm like, how did my lipstick end up on my forehead? And it got transferred from his lips to my forehead.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was wild.
Well,
anyway, it's a great way to support
is
theater
definitely
people.
the answer to that.
Yeah, there's a special there's a theater person's lipstick, and it's not Elf at Target.
That's a bummer.
Wild.
It would be great.
I honestly wouldn't have thought about that. Well, let us know when all that's up so we can support you. So
yeah, it's on my Instagrams.
Right now it's on your Instagram.
Yeah, it's on there, but I will be updating it shortly.
Cool.
I've not updated it since Sleepy Hollow. Anyway,
Awesome.
Morgan, what do you got going on?
You can find me on as a co-host on Supergirl Radio. We took a couple weeks off scheduling stuff, but we're coming back. I think we're going to continue with the DC animated movies. I think we also might talk about Melissa Benoist's new show, HBO Max show, Girls on the Bus, which
Let me know how that is.
I heard it wasn't good.
It's not good. I wanted it to be good. I watched the first episode and I was like, ooh.
This is gonna be a fun talk.
Brutal. But I think we'll be talking about that next
Nicole
Tuesday.
Manning has a new Dreamer book.
She does. It just came out. I actually got it in the I pre-ordered it. Completely forgot that I had done that. And so it was like a little surprise present from past me to future me. When I opened it, I was like, "What is this? A book? I didn't order a book." I opened it. I was like, oh, I did months ago. I actually was reading it earlier tonight. That's what I was doing on the couch when the aftershock came. And so far it's really cute. I like it a lot.
Well, man, I hope you guys cover it.
Yeah, I think maybe we will. Yeah, there's lots of Dreamer content out there from Nicole Maines. I love that she's like keeping Dreamer alive out there.
Yeah. You don't get that as often when shows ends. That's cool.
No, she really loves that character though,
Mhm.
which I think is really special. And she likes to write and she's like
Yeah.
has done a couple of comic collaborations, which is really cool. So I think this is her first like full like it's like more like a graphic novel.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Is yeah, and
Wow.
the art is really pretty too. So they did a really good job.
Yeah, good for her.
So I think that's gonna wrap us up for this week's episode. So until next time, stay legendary.